Hello Geometry, this is a video for your quiz review for the first unit. So in this very beginning, I'm going to try to angle this for you. In the very beginning, it's talking about to give another name for plane M. This is plane M. Plane is like a piece of paper. And when you're naming a plane, you need the word plane and then 3 letters. So those 3 letters are going to be 3 non-collinear points. So any points on the plane, but they cannot be collinear. So B, E, G would be great. Name a point collinear with point G. Point G is here. Collinear means they are on the same line. So another point on this line would be point E. Name a point non-coplanar with point D. Non-coplanar means they are not on the same plane. Point D is on plane M, which is like this piece of paper. So one that isn't on the plane could be H, A, or C. I'm going to do point H. You have a few options for your answers. Alright Geometry, I need to interrupt my video to show you a mistake that I made. So I said in the first video that you need to name a point that's non-coplanar with point D, and I said point H, which it isn't on plane M, so I thought that I was safe, but if you really look carefully, point D and point H do share a plane. They share this plane, plane DHF. So that wasn't actually a very good choice. The better choice for a point non-coplanar with point D would be A or C. Either of those points would work because they are not on plane M, they're not on any plane that point D is also on. A is hovering above, C is down below. So point D is non-coplanar with either A or C. Point H was a bad choice by me. Okay, good luck. Next one says name a line containing point C. Point C is right here. That would be this line. They don't give me a cursive letter for this. Sometimes it would be like line M, like this, line L or line M. But they don't give me that, so I will just have to use the line above, and that's line AC, or I could say line AE. Name the intersection of plane M with plane FHB. FHB is right here. Plane M is this plane. If I were building a gingerbread house, where would I have to put the icing? It would have to go right along here to connect those two planes. That is line segment FB or BF. Next it says to give 2 names for the plane. The easy one would just be plane B, this plane. Next, we would want to say plane, and then you need 3 non-collinear points. So 3 non-collinear points. I cannot say Y, W, V because those are all on the same line. I cannot say X, Y, R because those are all on the same line. But I need 3 points on the plane that are non-collinear. So V, R, X is perfect. Or I did VXR. Name the intersection of line M and N. Here's line M. Here's line N. Where do they cross? At point Y. Name the line containing point Z. Point Z is here. This line can be named by just saying line L That's a cursive L. Or you could say line on top, RZ or ZR. 9 says name a point non-collinear. That means not on the same line with point R and X. R and X. So this is this line. What's one that's non-collinear with that? Well, you could say V or W. I did point V. And then name a point coplanar with point V. Coplanar is on the same plane. So here's our plane here. What's another one on that plane? We have lots of options. I did point X is also on that plane. Okay. Here we go. It's for 11. It says find the value of X and YZ given that point Y is the midpoint of XZ. If it's the midpoint, that means it's right in the middle, cutting it into two equal pieces, XY and YZ. I gave it little tick marks because those pieces would be congruent. If they are congruent, they are the same length, so they are equal, and I can set those expressions equal to each other. I'm going to get my x's on the same side. And then I'll subtract 4. And I end up with x equals 2. Now, if you're like me, you've got x equals 2, and you're like, I'm done, yay. But actually, they're asking for x, and they're asking for yz. So for yz, you're going to have to plug back in to get that length. 3 times 2 plus 4. 6 plus 4, yz would be 10. The next one says, what is the length of AB, given that these are congruent? So they're telling you that these are congruent. If they're congruent, they are the same length, so they are equal. 4x is equal to 3x plus 7. I'm going to get my x's on the same side, and I end up with x equals 7. That's not our answer, though. They said, what is the length of AB? That's this entire length. Well, on this one, I plugged back into just this little piece, but they're wanting this entire length. If we know x equals 7, we can plug that in. 4 times 7, just AC would be 28. If I plug in 7 here, 3 times 7 is 21, plus 7 is 28. Wait a second. We knew those were going to be congruent pieces because they're congruent, and we gave them tick marks and we set them equal to each other. So I have 28 and 28. To get the entire length of AB, you can just take 28 times 2 or add 28 and 28. And I got 56. Let's see. 28 times 2. 4, 5, 56. Very good. Okay. On this next one, it says find the value of x and AC if B is between A and C. You need to draw a picture on these. If B is between A and C, it is not necessarily smack dab in the middle as a midpoint. It can be, but it is not necessarily the case. They tell us that AB is 5x and BC is 21. And AC, this entire thing, is 3x plus 29. Once you have a picture, you should be able to set up some segment addition. This little piece, AB, or I'll write this first, AB plus this little piece, BC, equals the entire thing, AC. AB, this little piece, is 5x. BC, this little piece, is 21. And then AC, the whole thing, is 3x plus 29. When I get my x's on the same side, and then get my numbers on the same side. When I divide by 2, I get that x is 4. I always have to go back to see if they're asking for something else. They're also asking for the length of AC. AC is that 3x plus 29, and we know that now that x is 4, so I can plug 4 in. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 29 is 41. Let's do the next one. You also need to draw a picture. So we've got that y is between x and z. xy is 3x. yz is 2x minus 7. And xz, the whole thing, is 18. When I set up my segment addition, I'll have xy plus yz equals the whole thing of xz. xy is 3x. yz is 2x minus 7. And xz, the whole thing, is 18. These together give me 5x. I'll add 7. I have 5x equals 25. And when I divide by 5, I get that x is 5. Always go back to check to see if they're asking for something else. They're also asking for xy. xy is just 3x, and we now know that x is 5. So I can plug in 5 and get that xy is 15. Very good. Let me flip to the next page. It says which two line segments are congruent, and we have this picture on a number line where there's lots of segments here. I was able to see that AE, from A to E right here, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And DC, from D to C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Also 7. So AE is congruent to DC. The next one says that line CD bisects AB. That means it's chopping it into 2 equal pieces, and they've shown me this with the little tick marks. So I can set those pieces equal to each other. 5x minus 7 is equal to 11 minus x. I'm going to get my x's on the same side, and I have 6x minus 7 equals 11. When I add 7 to the other side, I have that 6x equals 18. And when I divide by 6, I get that x equals 3. However, they're asking us to find AM, that's this length, the 5x minus 7. So I'm going to plug in 3 in the x spot. 5 times 3 minus 7. 5 times 3 is 15, minus 7 is 8. On 17, they're asking us to find the following. We have to find the distance and the midpoint. For distance, this is the one where we would sketch a triangle, a right triangle, so that we could set up Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. When I count my triangle, I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on bottom, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I would do 7 squared plus 9 squared equals c squared. 7 squared is 49. 9 squared is 81. Together, that makes 130. When I square root both sides, I need to think about the square root of 130 and if that breaks down. It does a little bit. 13 times 10, and 10 would break down to 2 times 5. But this is when we're doing laundry, and there are no pairs of socks between 13, 2, and 5. So the exact, our square root version, is just the square root of 130. There's no way for us to simplify that. The approximate would be plugging that into our calculator. Some calculators try to simplify for you. So when you do square root of 130, it just tells you square root of 130 again. If you click this double arrow button, then it will tell you what it is as a decimal. and we're going to be rounding to the nearest tenth, so that would be 11.4. Okay, midpoint formula is x plus x over 2 and y plus y over 2. It's the average of the x's and average of the y's. Technically, it's x1 plus x2 and y1 plus y2. When I do that here, I'm going to add my x values together. My x values would be -3 and 4. My y values would be -4 and 5. -3 plus 4 is 1. -4 plus 5 is also 1. And 1/2 doesn't really simplify. You can put 0.5 if you want, but I just did 1/2 comma 1/2. If you check it, 1/2 comma 1/2 would be about here, which is about halfway, so that makes sense. Let's do the next one where we actually have to plot it ourselves. I have this graph for you. -6, 4, and 0, 1 is our C and D. And we can sketch a triangle. That would be 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would do 3 squared plus 6 squared equals C squared. 3 squared is 9, 6 squared is 36. Together that makes 45, and I'll have to square root that. When I square root 45, that would be like 5 times 9, and then 9 breaks up into 3 times 3. When I'm looking at my pairs of socks, that's my lowest in my factor tree, the prime numbers. I do have a pair of socks, that's a 3. That goes on the outside, and then the 5 is left on the inside. Approximate, I can type 3 square root 5 in my calculator, and it just tells me 3 square root 5 again. When I click the double arrow, it gives me 6.7. Midpoint is the middle of these 2 points. I'm going to do the average of my x's and average of my y's. So let's see. My x's are -6 and 0. My y's are 4 and 1. So I'd have -6 plus 0 over 2, and then 4 plus 1 over 2. -6 plus 0 is just -6. 4 plus 1 is 5. -6 divided by 2 is -3. 5 over 2 does not simplify. I can just leave it as 5 over 2, or you can put 2.5. 19 and 20 are the ones where we have to work backwards. They give us the midpoint, and we have to find the end point, the other end point. So this is the midpoint, and then this is the other end point. We do not know our x2, y2, our other end point. We don't know that. So normally I add up my x's, so I would have -1 plus our x divided by 2, and then I'd add up my y's, so 4 plus my y divided by 2, and that would equal our midpoint, which is 1, 2. Well, in a perfect world, they'd give me this information, and this whole fraction would simplify to give me 1. So I would have -1 plus x over 2 simplifying to give me 1. When I multiply by 2, that gets rid of my fraction, and I have -1 plus x equals 2. And then I add 1 to the other side, and I get 3. I'm going to do the same thing for my y's. 4 plus y over 2 is equal to 2. I'll multiply by 2 to get rid of my fraction, and then subtract 4. It's okay to get 0. 4 minus 4 is 0, so our y is 0. What this means is to find the coordinates of C, that value for C is an x, y. That's what coordinates are. It's a point, an x and a y. And it's going to be 3 for our x and 0 for our y. So this is your final answer. The next one is very similar. They give you the midpoint. They give you one of the endpoints. That's your x1, y1. We don't know the other endpoint. That's your x2, y2. So I'm going to add up my x's, 1 and the other x divided by 2. I'll add up my y's, 1 and the other y divided by 2. That should give me my midpoint, which they told us is 3, 7. This x should simplify to 3. So I have 1 plus x over 2 simplifying to give me 3. When I multiply by 2, that gets rid of my fraction. And then when I subtract 1, I get 5. When I do my y's, or figure out my y, I'll have 1 plus y over 2. That gives me 7. I get rid of my fraction. Subtract 1, and I get y is 13. That means that the ordered pair of k that we're looking for, which is an x and a y, the x is 5 and the y is 13. If you guys have any other questions on your review, please do not hesitate to reach out. You can email me or just let me know that you need extra help. And good luck on your quiz.